Hello, hello. I want to finish builds, then we're doing amalgamation. I'm probably even gonna cut this out of the actual VOD that's going up on YouTube. So YouTube will get the amalgamation portion, but Twitch gets to have this portion. So let me do little things. I don't even have a thumbnail up. I wasn't even sure if I was gonna stream. But we are. That's not where I want to... That's not the right thing. Do I have the right? Yes. And everyone... We build and... on Passion PSMP. Then more amalgamation. On the server for audit. There you go. Yep. Alrighty, yes, I see. Hi, hello. Is that cool ass music? Yes, of course it is. We love supermassive black hole here. I got a few goodies in here. Alright. So, I am insane in 3 different contexts. I am insane for setting this expectation for myself. I am insane for I've been going insane doing it. And I'm insane for actually getting it done. I have been on the server for 13 hours. According to the runtime, anyway. Take that with a grain of salt. To take like a 2-hour break for lunch. I love how I could see the horde of sloths I've got you over the years. They've been smooshed around. 3 of them are there. 2 of them have been moved up there. You can see the brown one and the purple one somewhere up there. Also, I moved the Squishmallow down. Pumpkin, I understand now. I've been meaning to text you about this. I understand the nest. I understand the Squishmallow as a pillow. I've been using it as my pillow for 2 nights, and it's great. It is fantastic. I looked at my bed this morning, and I was just like, that's a pumpkin nest. Yo, should I send the Gigasloth? That's like a 6-foot. Me and Pumpkin have an old tradition of sloths because of this one. Fun fact, Pumpkin's actually my ex. They're my mod and my ex. We gave each other this exact same sloth, and so since then we've been getting each other sloths, and I also have a sloth hoodie from them. And then I give them sloths as well. It's a funny ass thing. Funky is the chill ex, at least. Most of my exes are chill. Most of my exes, after realizing I'm queer, are chill. I should specify that. So early half, yeah. Early half, no. Later half, yes. But yeah, I don't. Honestly, at this point, because of how many sloths I do have, sloths are 4. My ex is absolutely not chill. Out of all his exes, I'm glad I'm one of the later half ones. Yeah. I currently have my recording. I'm using Flashback in order to record all this for Passion PSMP because this video is going up Sunday morning. I'm going to be editing all of tomorrow morning. I need to get this done today. So let me be clear. Like 95% of this did not exist before I logged in today. So it is daytime. Let me just use FreeCam. FreeCam can't even encapsulate all of this. So, most of this did not exist this morning. These 3 buildings, or these 4 buildings technically, these 4 buildings existed this morning. These 2 buildings and that existed this morning. This little thing existed, this little thing, that, and then these 3/4 buildings right here existed. Everything else didn't. You, I don't message you for 7 hours. No, it's been 13. I've been up since 6:30 in the morning. I could not build all that, though. The only reason I'm able to build so much of this is because of the lovely mod Lightmatica. So I literally, what we're gonna do, and the reason why I'm gonna be able to get this done in the next half hour, is because I can go over here, and let's move the page down a couple, because I need it to be, like, down here. Unpause recording. N is what I have my easy toggle mode set to. And so let's just work on this building. Let's just do this. I don't have to do anything. All I have to do is hold click and move. The entire time I've been doing this, I've had Rubber Ross World, as in the creator Rubber Ross making the Mario world, as my background noise. And also, on top of that, I've had Blue Oysters Burning for You on repeat. Biggest builds I have is a hotel 6x6 to the world limits top and bottom, and a prison that's like 400 by 400. Okay, so there's a specific reason why we have these as we do, because these are the biggest buildings out of everything I've made. And everything else is actually really small scale. I got a large portion of this done really fast. What's taking me the longest is the warehouses, these giant stone buildings. The first bunch of them that are all the way over at the very southwest side took me about 2 hours to put together. It's like you're doing better than me. I have a dirt hut I dug into a mountain. Underground huts are so cool. Though, to be fair, but I'm a redstone addict, they don't have the space for it. Fair. Honestly, I could just turn all these into mob farms. I really could. I should, actually. So maybe that'll be a project next time. I'm tempted the next project I do, as in like the next Passion SMP video for the next 2 weeks. Cause Passion SMP and Amalgamation switch, I'm out of materials. Passion SMP and Amalgamation switch back every 2 weeks. So it's Passion SMP and then Amalgamation and then Passion SMP. Mob farms, what drops do you need? Nothing. Most of my materials have come from my stock. So I don't need any more. But this morning I got a bunch of deep slate. There was a third shulker here. This came from my stores of grass blocks. This is some of my copper stores. That's just... I think I went out and got that spruce wood, actually. I made a bunch of rails. I need more smooth stone, so that's currently smelting. XP, slaying for the fun, I bet. You can make them automated. You just have to put down a campfire. Honestly, we don't even need it, because if I go over this way... if we follow the lovely train, that's not going to get used ever, because it's horrible, and it takes like 10 minutes. It takes 20 minutes. Literally 20 minutes to go from here to the end of the train tracks. And half of that is between the third and fourth stop, and the fourth stop's the last stop. Over here's our XP farm. Or not XP farm, this is our Skelly farm, and we don't need any more drops than that. We do have a spider... Actually, that's a lie. We have a spider farm. I like the Sharky, by the way. It's cute. It's Blanche. But yeah, there's a Skelly spawner down there if it decides to start working. No? You just not gonna today? You don't feel like it? Don't want to clock into work? Yeah, me too. On today's episode of Unethical Minecraft, oh no, your chocolate factory expanded. Do we need to send an OSHA violation? Yes, okay, wonderful. Oh, you know what's unethical? That I have? That I literally out loud went, Jesus fucking Christ, earlier. So, about 2 days ago, I made that little bee farm. There is an underground portion. OSHA would shit a brick if they saw it. I made that little bee farm because I needed beeswax in order to wrap up those train tracks. Is this that spawn? Yes. This is all spawn. There's spawn right there. Actually, I have my origin set to spawn for the schematic. I needed beeswax, and I didn't know where all my bees went. I have now realized at this point where all my bees went. Because I assumed they died. No, the reality is much funnier. It's much, much funnier. Actually, hold on. Let's start carting stuff back. Well, because I need to go back to my house in order to explain what the hell happened to all my bees. I needed bees, and so about 2 days ago, I made that. We no longer need deep slate. Let's take that back. I don't need copper for anything, and we don't need that either. So let's bring all these back. For some reason, I thought this was Passion SMP, and I was gonna build it. No. It is Passion SMP. What are you talking about? What? This... What do you think it is, then? I do random things like this to him all the time. What did you think it was? What could this be, other than Passion SMP? What other SMPs do I play on? Genuinely. I think it says Amalgamation. We're doing it after! I literally said then! The entire thing about this was I was gonna do it, and then. Also, chat's a little too tall. You're slowly getting pushed down. Oh yeah, yeah! Then! I use these words for a reason. All the words I use are necessary. How could you go live while I'm at work /day? You're always at work, Flesh. Every time I go live, you're at work. I'm dyslexic. I said this aloud. Wait, no, okay, never mind. Stream title, you're right. Especially since I work 12 hours today. Is that the French lady who likes cake? Flesh Marion. Okay, yeah. Sure. Okay. So let's drop off these shulkers. So I have a big old bee cave, yeah? And because I wanted to let my bees live in harmony, after keeping them kept away for so long. But there are no more bees left in my bee cave. So I was like, okay, where did they all go? I guess they died. And I realized the other day, they didn't quite die. The answer is much funnier. So my floors are made of beehives. But the problem is, in order for a bee can get into a beehive or an actual bee nest really easily. They just have to find it. That's all they need. But in order to get back out, the entrance has to be open. So if I remove, like, any of these blocks, suddenly we're gonna have a lot of bees. Like, you can see my subtitles, bees work. Like, if I get rid of this, will we suddenly have bees? Oh, I'm lagging good. No? Not that one? I don't know which one it is. There's a lot of beehives. It could be any one of these guys. I'm not gonna bother with that. I should actually move that stuff around. Hold on. Where? Okay, not that one. Boop, boop. No, you. There we go. Lovely. Is this Roblox music? No. It is, Avicii levels. Old-ass music. Oh, what may make people shit bricks? My Looty. Oh wait, hold on, my beacons. My beacon supply. My beacons and Bad Omen. Easy, obvious, escape grandma. It's an easy copyright-free song. It's an old boy. Oh yeah, this is a stack of enchanted golden apples, because I went through 14 ancient cities on the server. Yeah. There's Ancient City. That Ancient City. City 2, Electric Boogaloo. What was 3 named? Backstreet's Back. No, that was 4. What was 3? Well, oh, technically, City 2, Electric Boogaloo is 3. And then Backstreet's Back, Mambo number 5. 6 is over here. 7's all the way over here for some reason. 8, 9, 10. And then way down here, 11, 12, 13, 14. That was lovely. I enjoyed every moment of that existence. And then back to my shulker block storage. You need to go directly in a chest. You need to be sorted out, and I can't hold of you, all of you in my inventory. One thing I don't like about Bedrock is how Bedrock Redstone works means to do what I want, I need to buy a whole computer. Yeah, that's fair. I remember hating actually doing redstone on Bedrock. I could do some basic redstone, but after moving to Java, I've gotten more and more and more into redstone. And my hope is next time, or next season, which will be in a little over a month now, the entire reason I'm full focus on spawn is because I finished my base at this point. That was the last episode. I literally just want spawn to be done by the end of the season. And then we hit... The entirety of spawn is going to be mini-games, by the way. That's why the area I'm working on is so large, because it's going to be a hide-and-seek area. North is going to be mini-games, south is going to be a maze. Basic redstone is, I think, all it can do. Everything else is inconsistent and breaks itself. Yeah. Or you have to, like, specially tailor it to Bedrock, or, like, some Bedrock mechanic. Older versions of it can be fine. Like, I remember loving... a XP farm, or just like a general mob farm mechanic on Bedrock is using pistons and a trident, throwing the trident down at the pistons and having a piston system that moves the trident around. Because in Bedrock, when you throw a trident, even though it's on the floor and you're not actively using it, it's still considered your kills. Ah, there's Pumpkin. I feel like I should start a small Twitch channel of me just messing around on your world. Yeah, I'm not surprised. I'm surprised you haven't done that yet. Pumpkin, if you get the Amalgamation mod pack, you can join me whenever you want. We have Essential. You can join me in single player whenever you want. Or at least at... Why am I in a... Where are you? Where are you? You're not... You're not... Oh, wait. Hold on. Are you in the attic? The mushroom. I don't know then. I couldn't tell you. Jab is doing a Kaza or what? Absolutely. I don't know. They rarely log on. I could not tell you why they have a trap. I ain't got no clue about that one, honestly. Are you in a pit? Are you in one of the animal pits that the member that was staying there made? Or, no, I made for them because I moved their animals. Hold on, we're going... let's go to the mushroom. Let's go to my first base. Do we need this villager farm? The iron farm? Pumpy got trapped off, rip. I don't know. I don't know what they're talking about. I'm coming to you. Hold your horses. Hold your bum. I'm getting over there. Honestly, this is what I want to do next project for working on North Snowkea. I see... Oh, you're in the iron farm. Yeah, that's an iron farm. Oh wait, you're all... Why are you up there? There's a lot of screaming people. It's just it's just villagers. It's an iron farm. I know this is a little expert level for your redstone, but it is an iron farm. It's probably bait to trap you. Ever think of that? I wish them luck. The only reason they have netherite is because I made it. Which is even funnier because I meant to give it to my son, Tall, which is a zombie. It's a jack-o'-lantern zombie, but Tall can't wear armor. I don't want to let him out. Hold your butt. Okay, how we're gonna do this is I'm gonna place some of these. Hold on. There we go, and now you can go. Don't open the trapdoor! Pumpkin! Don't open the trapdoor! Villagers can't get past trapdoors! They're full 2 blocks tall, we aren't. No, dude, get back. You're not allowed to escape. Get back in there. No. I'm laughing so often. I don't know, man. No. Okay, hold on. Let me get you some rockets. You in the guard? Okay, you're right there. Hold on. Let me steal from my stores. There you go. You get a stack. If you want more, you gotta make more. I need to go make some myself. Do you want to feel the exact size of the project that you keep yelling at me for making at all? They're pancakes. The wings are actually the pancake cape, but they look like honeycomb wings, so I stick with it. You know how to head to spawn, Pumpkin? I like the Minecraft skins, both of them. Thank you. I recently updated Muse, and he looks like a Pokemon trainer, and I love it. Okay, you know how to get spawned. Okay. I'll meet you there. I'd much rather fly. I made this entire train track 2 times, and I don't use either of them. Nerd, I grew up on Pokemon. Love Pokemon. I have so many Pokemon games. I absolutely adore... I still adore... No, I grew up on both. I watched Digimon. I played Pokemon. Yo, the LGBTQ flag actually looks nice as Elytra. I prefer just the pancakes, because it looks actually like wings. Oh, there you are. Okay. I have like 300 cards right now. My thing was I played the Pokemon games. I never really got into card games aside from traditional card games like Shanghai, Milesborn. Those are really the only 2 I play. Granted, those are old boys, but I have them in a special case. Nice. I think don't think I have it anymore, but I know for a long time I kept one of the first Pokemon cards I ever got. It was this little Torchic. And it wasn't even kept in a special spot. I'm like, oh, I'll keep this because it's the first card I have. And then it was just kept underground. Tree on house arrest. I do not know what you're talking about. You're talking about the fucking Christmas tree? What do you mean house arrest? It's a fucking Christmas tree. This is its little greenhouse. I know there's a special word for it. I can't remember it. It's the tree. It's the giant Christmas. It's a greenhouse. How else you want me to make a fucking greenhouse? Cause glass don't fly here. Is that a Billy Bob? That's a Billy Bob. Hello, Billy Bob. We're sitting... Sad terrarium. Thank you. That's the word I needed, terrarium. You know what? I'll take it. I need to get back to building. Is my stupid smooth stone done yet? Is my smooth stone done? Ow. Yeah. Some of my sound alerts are a little louder. They're meant to be jump. You're not done yet? What do you mean? What do you mean? You suck. Oh, wait, did extra... Okay, extra might have gotten back here. I think that is genuinely the full amount. Hold on. Chat is so far behind for me, so I almost threw my mouse. Yeah, that'll happen. It's bound to happen. Boop, boop. And then doot, doot. And then one more. And then we refill the lava. Ever make a Minecraft casino? Volume way too high for that. It's a jump scare. Oh, the lag is not fun. I have not made a Minecraft casino. I do plan on making a minigame district up... Oh, what? I want free cam. Up north in this area, and I have a couple ideas planned. Like, I want to make a rooftop golf. Because I think that'd be fun. Freddy Fazbear music? Yeah, why not? It's loud, though. I will warn that. If you thought the metal pipe was loud, oh no. That's the FNAF music, for real. 100% the FNAF music is worse. If I remember exactly which one I put in. Did I put in the bass boosted hallway? Did I? I don't know. Okay, we need to, like, immediately use some of this. Where did I... Oh. Oh, that's not nearly as loud. Oh, that's sad. That's disappointing. I left all my materials at the old base. I got distracted by Pumpkin. This... Oh, wait, hold on. Not quite. I need those scaffolding. The rest of that can go home, though. And then... Majority of this can go home as well. Okay. Slowly, I'm wrapping up stuff here. I mean, the dong currently playing is used for some finesse stuff. I can't use sound stuff, it's disabled. It has a cooldown. So it takes a minute. So if somebody has just put in one, it will take a minute to play the next. So it will, like, slowly auto-queue it, I think. But I know there is a cooldown. 13 seconds. Okay. Thank you, Pumpkin. Yeesh. I said I was gonna get done in 30 minutes. It's already been 30 minutes, and I've done fuck all. Okay. It doesn't help there's a large difference between me just doing this by myself, blasting music, and content to watch. I only know because I got blocked from my fart the other day. There's a huge difference between actually, like, facilitating a stream and just blasting content and pushing through the last of it. Wait, no, I don't want to forget all of this again. What is this box? Oh, it's this, okay. Yeah. And you spruce in here. And then granite up here, you. Yeah, but now you have a distraction. Yeah. I have double distractions. I have the chat and you on the server. Also, I think what would be the funniest thing to show off out of all the supplies I own is all the shriekers I own from going through those ancient cities. Llamas with hats? Yeah, of course! Oh wait, hold on. Y'all want to see Carl? Let's show off Carl. That's running on a crap ton of strawberry milk and spite. Fair enough. Hold on, let's go say hi to Carl. We have Carl and Tall. Hi, Carl. This is the family dog. And then this is my oldest kid. Say hi to Tall. I love him. He sniffs everything. You talking about Carl or Tall? Small. And then there's my sassy boy, Hoddlefoggin. If you can't tell, he's a teenager. Small dog. Yep, definitely. He's a wolf dog. We're volunteering to foster him. And then I have my favorite child down here. Will you please keep in mind I'm running on stream audio. I'm doing my best here. Okay. Where's favorite child? Favorite child? My baby! It's Moon! I absolutely love his room, and his room's my favorite out of all the ones I built. By far. It's like 20 seconds behind. We'll figure it out. We can deal. And then Nightmare's over here. And Nightmare recently got the addition back here, the little greenhouse. And then around here... Oh, actually, let's go to Sun first. Sun, the little punk that no matter what series I have him in, he's always doing something wrong. I don't know what it is. Every single time I've had him on any given world, he is a little punk that never listens. Have you ever seen a teacup dog? Teacup animals are so itty-bitty. When I think teacup animal, I just think of that picture of like a teacup mouse sitting in a flower. And then I also have Dream in here, whatever he is. There he is. And they're all holding golden apples. Oh wait, hold on. Pumpkin. Oh, you're... Where? Oh, you're probably still back there. Pumpkin, have you been to the bucket shrine? I don't know if you know exactly where it is. Also, hold on, let's get some iron, because I'm running, by my definition, low. Ah, I can't get a lot. Okay, you suck. Oh my god, you actually... Watch my videos! Of course, I literally told you I was making it! I told you I was making it! Then what do you mean I made it? I do on occasion. It's in the video. Yeah? Yeah, you wanna try again? Okay, occasion. I told you when I was making it. And it is on the video. I have a picture of a dog that looks like me when I met you in the summer, dog. That's too... Shun. Okay, occasion. Anyway, sure, I'd like to come back to the base. I'll meet you at the portal. Wait, you're telling me it's in the... Yes, it's in the video! It's in the last one! And I also told you! I told you I made it! I'm pretty sure I sent you a screenshot when I was making it! Shadow Man! Home or the mushroom? Home! It's at the base. Also, while we're here, let me show off the base real quick. So, let it be forewarned, this is not... I terraformed this heavily. As in, there was a mountain here that went up to about that level before I got here, and, yeah. Vibe check, vibe's awesome. I try. Oh wait, hold on. Let me show me and Pumpkin's hidden little secret in my base. I refuse to get rid of this. I just jumped off a cliff forgetting I don't have my wings on. Did you die? Okay, no you didn't. Me and Pumpkin were hanging out on call on the server one day, and we were on for so long that we didn't realize we were there. But before we started, like, getting sidetracked from the server, we set up a couple chairs, and I refused to get rid of them. So, if you come down here, through the amethyst, and my little glass fog effect, we have our chairs, and I refuse to get rid of these guys. And I have a really old screenshot of my head barely poking over this. I have a screenshot somewhere on my computer that looks like this. Oh, no. Wait, which button do I have it set to? I have it set to this. I love free cam. This is great. Peekaboo. Peekaboo. Alright. And there is a way to get out of here, although it's slightly convoluted. There we go. Oh god, the nether... Do you watch any of my videos? Because I'm pretty sure the nether... I updated it so long ago. That was months ago. That was months ago. That was like April, man. It's June. Almost August. That was like April or May. When you show me them. Wow, what a great best friend. I say this with all the love in the world. In other words, only when they pop up on my FYP. Fair enough. Are you almost at the base? Yeah. That sounds about right. There we go. The portals are labeled, Pumpkin. The portals are all labeled. Definitely not. Okay, I'm coming to pick you up. Which way? Yeah, yeah. Where did you go? Oh no, you cut. Oh. Hold on, we gonna fix this. Hold on, we gonna fix this. Yeah, yeah. I should have expected that, honestly. I didn't even know I had rewards. I'm not affiliate. I don't have that yet. I don't know why that's showing. Hold on, I need to get onto my own server. Thankfully, it hasn't gotten rid of... Okay, there we go. I'm heading back in. Thankfully, it has not gotten rid of my recording, so we're fine. I somehow ended up back at spawn. You rubber banded. Let me come pick you up. Hi. Man, did I thought I was on what? Yes, I have food. There you go. Alright, hop in the boat. We're gonna lag out the server just a little bit more. The rubber band almost killed me. Yeah, it does that sometimes. It's been bad as of late. I've had some serious bad rubber banding, but that could also very well be because I'm using flashback right now. I was on half a heart. Sheesh. Okay, let's go to the bucket shrine, and then I'm gonna get to work. I don't know if we're gonna actually do amalgamation today, but at least I'll be done with the stupid build. Okay. Oh wait, you haven't seen your new room yet, have you? Yeah, go up to your room. You haven't been here since before I upgraded it. So Pumpkin has a room in my attic. My last base, they had a room in my basement. So come on, it's upstairs. If you watch any of the videos, I added a whole ass tower, and if you remember me texting you, because I texted you everything about this. Upgrades, people, upgrades, yeah. Also, enjoy Clownfish. I've given one to, like, everybody on the server. I recognize the song. Yeah. Drift whatever? Drift Vale City, which is actually from a Pokemon game, but it's also the meme. Also, anything I stole from your base in order to make this extension got put in this shulker box. Yeah. Before you start Pumpkin, before you start decorating, I need to show you the bucket shrine. We need to go to the bucket shrine. Hold on. Hold. I'm waiting for the stream delay. Waiting for the stream delay. Waiting for the stream delay. Yeah, Pokemon and the weird dancing dragons. You mean Toothless? Okay. Pumpkin. Bucket shrine? Oh, food. Okay, fine. Actually, hold on, I can do food. I can give you food. I can... Okay, we're back. What do you mean? Let me join my own server! I made you! Let me join the server! Chat, should I stop learning Russian so the stream runs smoothly? Please. Lenny Fart? What? Okay, welcome. Interesting username. I wanna join my own stupid server. I made you. Okay, fine, hold on. Let me reboot Minecraft, apparently. I just want to play my own game. I want to play my own server. I have no idea how I'm gonna handle that, because I had flashback going, which is essentially replay. So I need to figure out how I'm gonna handle the camera with that. Let me slightly fix the chat cutoff. Let me try logging off. No, the game's telling me I have to, like, actually just restart the game. If you log off, it could completely shut down the server. I'd rather that not happen. I don't want to have to sit for, like, another minute and wait for it to reboot again. So just chill out, I'm back. Pump is way too powerful for such servers. Maybe. To be fair, my streams have been crashing a lot lately, and I don't understand why. It could very well be simply because I moved where my setup is, so I might have to switch around my stream settings again so it actually works. Okay. Lovely. Ah, yeah. You know what else is ping my heart? Fair. Alright, can I just show you the bucket shrine? Because by the time we're done with it, your food's not even gonna be done. Like, can we just go? Because it's literally in the base. It's not even far. We literally walk around some stairs and we're there. I'm waiting on you! Let's go! You said you had to get food, so I was waiting on you to get your food. You said nothing about waiting on me. Also, put on your wings. We're gonna go this way, because it's a little bit faster. I grabbed some. I didn't know you grabbed some. You didn't tell me anything. You told me food, and then put food in the furnace. How am I supposed to know some of it's in your inventory already? Oh yeah, I need to eat 1 ham dessert. Real, go get that dessert. Alright. Iron Farm's up there, by the way. Whenever your lag catches up. And we're going to the bucket shrine. I should mention about... It was like episode 12, 13. We had a whole bit where they refused to use a water bucket, and I think water buckets are godly. Just got the Iron Farm. Okay, nice. And I insisted that water buckets were so good, I'd make a bucket shrine, and I never did. And I was going through videos for some footage, which I didn't actually end up throwing in, but still meant, of course. But I did actually add on a bucket shrine to my island. Guess what? What's up? And bucket shrine's over here. Thank you, Armor Stance, for making this possible at all. That's the only reason I'm able to do this. We have an armor stand mod, and I can... Yeah, I should have expected that. I really should have expected that. But yeah, this is the bucket shrine. And it's just a little cave. Slightly textured with 1 quartz pillar and a bucket of water. I'm so glad I took my headphone out. Metal pipe. I got used to it at some point. I don't know. My ears were already kind of broken, so... I like it, Picasso. Also, this didn't really make it in the video at all, and I hate that it didn't. Because I was a idiot. I have a habit of accidentally pausing my recording at some point, and then never unpausing it until I'm done with the project. So, up here, there's actually... I made it look like a dead volcano. And this is the pit. If we wait, like, Pumpkin. If we wait, like... Oh, there it is. Above us is an iron farm. And so, every now and again, if you just stick around the farm, you just see iron golems fall out of the sky. My favorite sound alert is Billy Bob shushing. But yeah, every, like, minute or two, you just see random iron golem. Are we gonna get another one? Come on. I believe in it. Give me another iron golem. Give me another iron golem. Give me another one. I'm so glad I don't keep the sound alerts don't keep on VODs, by the way, so I can actually edit around the sound alert spam. Welcome, Crazy Clown Days. How are you? Oh, that's lightning. I wanted an iron golem. I just wanted to see another iron golem fall out of the sky, please. Please. You're supposed to work. I just wanted to see that. Okay, hold on. Let me go take a sleep on my couch. Let's go over to the couch. Hold on. Need take a nap on the couch. Oh, it's you! Okay, hi! Hello, my child! My adopted online son. Okay, Crazy Clown Days, hi! Crazy Clown Days is from when I was really early Twitch streaming. And I adopted them. Okay, Pumpkin, you are, like, completely unaware of this. Yeah, the online son. Now you get it. Okay, good. And I used to use the username Goodname. And they actually created a full-ass Twitch account that was just username. The username was Good Name is my dad. But yeah. Welcome, Crazy Cloud. Hey, how you? Can we I just want to see an iron golem fall out of the sky. That's all I want. This is all I want in life. Oh, I just missed you. Oh, ow. You suck. I just... Help, I did. Yeah. No way, crazy stuff. Yeah, I've been streaming. I had a CP obsession when I made this account. Fair. I've been streaming now for over 3 years. It will be 4 in January. And I've been consistently I've been actually focused on posting since May of last year. So for a full year now, I've been posting at least once a month. And since the beginning of the year, I have been posting every single Sunday of the year. And then in the past few months, or I think, no, the entirety of the year, I've done a short every Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday, and a video every Sunday. I don't know how I've managed to pull it off every time, but I have so far. Who needs church when you have mutations? Yeah. Who needs church when you have blahages? I love these guys. Wait, hold on. I have to show this blahage chest. Hold on. This is just a retextured totem. And this is actually a raid farm over here. This was not... Wait, my bees! What are you doing over here? Why are you over here? I thought you were dead! I love how it's just a thing to adopt someone as a dad and try and make a religion about them. Why are they all over here? Multiple of my bees have made all the way out here. Okay, whatever. We're going to see the blahage. We're gonna go look at the blahage. Is the raid farm the reason there's a random pillager head over here? No, that's the pillager ploy. We want to wrap up pillager ploy, and the actual thing has yet to happen. The plan is... I smell transgenders. Yeah. The plan is, Pumpkin... Okay, so if anybody hasn't noticed yet, as we've been going around my base, there's a bunch of pillager heads about the place, and some of them aren't quite... Oh, some of them aren't quite right. So, for example, if I come over here, I'm pretty sure I have one somewhere around here. Yeah, there's one right here. So, pillager heads. There was an event I started in May called the Pillager Ploy. Oh, Pumpkin's listening. Wonderful. We're gonna... Actually, if we're doing story time, let's actually sit down for story time. Come on. Let's sit down for story time. I have this office. I have my lovely tables. Let's sit down for Pumpkin, come sit down for story time. Oh, you're okay. You're gonna sit across from me. Okay. Yep. You gonna sit over there? Or okay. Story time. Oh no, it's good. Okay, hold on. New camera angle. It's being covered. I'm being covered. dramatic camera angle. Wait, hold on. I've done filmography classes. I know composition. Okay, story time, guys. Tell us a story. In May, I started the Pillager Ploy, which was basically Infection Tag. It started out as there are 5 Pillager heads in everybody's bases. When you found the Pillager heads, you got to prank other people, and while you were trying to find the Pillager heads, you would be pranked. I was the host, so I was the one pranking everybody while they tried to find their Pillager heads. And I did very well hiding these, so much so that nobody has yet to find all of theirs. So, earlier at the beginning of this month, July, I set up a thing with some of the members so we could wrap up Pillager Ploy and be like, okay, there was a serious prize for Pillager Ploy, by the way. I should mention this. There is a serious prize for Pillager Ploy that I have prepared. I've had this prepared since I came up with the idea. This is the prize, if you won. Those are enchanted golden apples, by the way. I have a lot of free time. How have you still not seen that? What? What does that even say? You know what? We'll keep it. You expect me to look in that corner? I don't even use this space bump key. Anyway, I set up a thing earlier this month with some of the members, but not all of them were able to make it, so we ended up postponing it, and it still has yet to be rescheduled. That in order to wrap up Pillager Ploy, because I wanted people to get... I'm not gay, I'm dating another man. In order for somebody to actually get the prize... He crashed? Oh. Well, now I put that I put that there the second you built that base. Fair enough. Being gay is so cool. Yeah. It's great. In order to wrap up Pillager Ploy, because I wanted somebody to get the prize before the end of the season, which we're planning to reset by the end of August. Now I need to find the other 4. I'm trying to tell story. It's story time with Mew. I decided, in order to make this a little easier and make it on brand with what we've been doing with Pillager Ploy, finding the Pillager heads, that I would put out a stack of Pillager heads and 16 Vindicator heads. In the past, Vindicator heads have been decoys. They're not actually worth points, or work towards your Pillager head count. It's reversed now, so every Pillager head you find is 1 point, and every Vindicator head you find is 5. Better variation, I am not gay, ask my BF, he'll tell you. But yeah, that's why there's Pillager heads about my base. Immediately after I was done making and upgrading everything in the base, aka adding all the trees, ruins, and the last bits of terraforming that I needed to do, I put all those Pillager heads down, and that ended up becoming just me, Lilac, and penguins hanging out and just doing some trial chambers and talking. And me cleaning up old pranks. Because Skip wasn't able to make it. Skip was the other person that I was also pranking. But I should mention, I'm pretty sure most of their Pillager heads are still there. Hold on. Wait, hold on. There we go. I think Lilacs are all gone. How many are there? 64. Counted them myself. In my base, anyhow. I'm gonna head over to Skip's, because I think Skip's is the craziest. I wish I could say my boyfriend isn't gay in a sarcastic way, but he isn't gay, so... These arrows. Nice! We love it. Honestly, at this point, I thought I was just, like, on the ace spectrum for a long-ass time, being demi, but I'm like, wait, hold on. I might just be arrow ace and just have relationships anyway, because I like that. I have a question. Wait, I have a question about that. What's up? Ask away. Yeah. Oh, wait, shit. Okay, I cleaned up a lot of pranks. I didn't clean up this one. Sorry, Skip. I forgot to clean up this one. I forgot. The moment I saw the subtitle, I realized. Yeah. Can I get a pufferfish head? No. Yeah, I forgot to clean up this one. Sorry, Skip. I've heard of ace people dating or you're aromantic. How does that work? Consent, I guess, is the easiest way to put it. It's the same thing of being like being in friendships, at least in my perspective. Because I've come to realize I don't exactly interpret love the same way most would. I'm like, oh, I love you guys. I like you in my life. I'm willing to have that amount of commitment in a relationship with you that long term. And if it's not in a relationship, I'd still happily be your friend. So I'm gay and asexual, but my boyfriend is ace. He isn't romantically attracted to me, but he is altruistically attracted to me. We've been dating almost a month and we're both very happy. Yeah. For me, it's just always been like a level of commitment thing. I would happily spend the rest of my life with you, regardless of if it's in a relationship or not. But a relationship is usually the easiest way to put a label on. I would spend the rest of my life with you. So that's always been how I've defined it. Our anniversary is Monday. Hell yeah! Nice! I just celebrated my 1-year anniversary with one of my boyfriends recently. I should specify, I'm polyamorous. I should specify this. That sounds really horrible out of context. I have my 2 boyfriends, they're also dating each other, they're lovely, I love them. And they're also VIPs in chat. Man, I'm so single. I'm sorry if I'm gay. I start work Monday. Nice! Oh. Dad, you met him, remembered you? Yeah! You were talking to me about him. Okay. So, I'm gonna, like, wrap this back around. Pillager ploy, yes? There were 4 heads hidden around people's bases, and some of them were really mean. Others were easier. There were 5 heads total. 4 of them were just hidden around the base. One of them has a whole-ass section dedicated to it that's meant to be a sort of challenge. Skip's never found his because I was especially mean for his, and his was a little harder to originally find. That is an armor stand. That is not an actual block. That is an invisible dirt block. And so there's actually a pillager head down here. All the way back here, hidden in a staircase. Poor Pumpy, we all got shit going. He's my little cane user. I too am a cane user. Also, I mined the entirety of this out. This is 49 rooms, and every single one of them is 5x5. This is a 7x7 room area. And I have 0 regrets, and I did that in a day or 2. Anyway. Am I the only one, single one in chat right now? I don't know. Numbers, oog. Did he ever find... Hold on, Skip. Did you ever find the one over here? No, he didn't. So that gives you an idea of what occurred. Numbers. I don't know. It's now been an hour and I haven't done anything. Okay. Well, I need to actually build. I got the stuff that I needed from my house, so I'm going back to spawn. We're gonna finish this thing up. I think what's gonna happen for the video is I will have everything that I have recorded and that building time lapse up to where it got crashed, because I didn't really do anything between starting stream and that crashing. And then I'm just gonna put input stream in the middle of this. I'm number phobic, like genuinely. Calculalia, I think, right? I think that's the name of it. I sleep the night away. I haven't put torches everywhere yet. That is arithmophobia. No, I have number dyslexia, so I just really hate math. Yeah, I need something with silk touch. Why? Is there silk touch in the B&B? Am I selling silk touch? Also, yes, that sounds right for number dyslexia. Books, silk touch. Oh, diamonds. Okay, cool. Swift snakes. I have a lot of swift snakes. Efficiency, protection, channeling, feather falling, depth strider, knockback, aquafinity, unbreaking. No silk touch. Yo, I love math. I'll do it for you. Math is fun. I agree, unfortunately. I'm sorry, clown. Math is fun. I really love algebra. I just like you guys. As that's why I failed math. I need more leaves. If you come to spawn, you can steal my netherite hoe. Or you can go to the iron farm and steal, some iron. For shears. Swift Sneak 3, best thing since Coarse Dirt. You wanna try spelling that again, Pumpkin? I easily got college grade math when testing. I have an extreme active care for math. I prefer writing about gay men with mental illnesses. My autistic trait. So real. Something funny, I haven't really talked about this. I went in for autism testing this Monday. So we'll find out soon enough. What about plush? No, I don't. What? Pumpkin, I am very confused. What? Wait, you're not? No, I'm not. I'm not. Keep in mind, I've been on this server since 7 in the morning. I have done nothing today except build. Let's reiterate again. I said this at the beginning of the stream. Let's reiterate again. Everything that is currently here, except for those 4 buildings, these 2 buildings, and that little bit, that building right there, that acacia stuff, and that building, plus these 3 did not exist yesterday. Have you eaten or drank water? I took a 2-hour break for food. Wait, hold on. Do I have a picture of my lunch? I have a picture of my lunch. Hold on. I have a picture of my lunch. Hold on. Let me steal it. I had a delicious salad. Oh wait, hold on. Should I give everybody an aneurysm? Or jealousy, I guess would be more accurate, of what my meals look like. I keep a private Instagram account with just friends, and occasionally I'll give it out to people. But all I do is post the food I make, and it's not even a public account. This is a private account. This is literally just me and a few friends that I keep up with. And I just took a screenshot on my phone of what the most recent meals are, so let me send that to myself real quick. He sends me food pics all the time. He's an amazing cook. Thank you. I just saw your message, your DMs, by the way, too. OBS automatically turns streamer mode on, so I don't see them. Okay, let me pull up a picture. Let's... Image... downloads... You. So these are the most recent things I've made. Most of the time I end up making some sort of Asian fusion. Metal pipe! Number 1 was today just knockoff brand Cheez-Its, because I prefer them, actually. And cause they taste like Cheez Whiz. I love them. Some oranges, and then a salad that had some leftover canned chicken, cilantro, and the community red onion. I say community because this is literally every now and again somebody starts an onion and it stays in a bag immediately on the front of the fridge. Oh, hi, Pumpkin. Immediately in the front of the fridge, and it becomes the community onion until it's done. So I use some of the community red onion. Chicken, some leftover chopped up cilantro. And then some spices, little Caesar salad dressing on that. The second one is pho-inspired ramen. So it's just basic ramen. Strong recommend when you are making ramen, if you want some meat in there, get some lunch meat, and while the ramen's boiling, throw lunch meat in with the ramen, and by the time the ramen's done, the lunch meat will be cooked, you won't even realize it's lunch meat anymore. And what a step further is after you drain the ramen, put it back on the pan on low at max 2 or 3. Pour your broth over that. If you're making broth on the side, I make broth on the side from scratch usually. Pour broth over that and let that steam for a couple minutes. If you have veggies, that's the time to throw in your veggies so it all marinates in the broth. The third one, that's a leftover pork. I can't remember what I did for that one. I think that might have been also more of a pho. That was a pho broth because of the pork. Yeah. Or might have just done a straight up... Yeah, no, it was pho. So if you want a really quick pho broth, cinnamon, lime, cardamom if you have it, cloves. Throw that in with some beef or chicken stock. There you go. Preferably also with garlic powder, onion powder, and... I know there's another spice I use. Cilantro is always good. Always throw in some cilantro. White pepper. And then a little MSG salt. Celery salt is a fucking dope one. I found it funny that I ate Minecraft, but the food is over my character. It looked like I was eating pictures. Also, I love you, but siblings movies are my way to go when they make them. Oh, yeah. One of my siblings used to make smoothies sometimes, and Pumpkin was over during one of those times. They fell in love with smoothies. They're great. Number 4, literally just mangoes on yogurt. Greek yogurt, sprinkle some honey, throw in some fruit. Delicious. Number 5 is bagels. I have a local farmer's market. I'm lucky and privileged enough that I don't live too far from it. And then there's one guy that shows up every time, every year, for years. He has homemade bagels, and they go out within a couple hours, and they're only like $2 each. And it's only like $6 or $12 for a dozen, something like that. It's not a lot. And they're so good. They're so good that next day they don't even taste good anymore. That's how fresh they are. You have to eat them same day. Bagel man! Yeah. They know. I've got them bagels. So that's sesame bagels with cream cheese, everything bagel seasoning, cucumbers, and then the second one also has just like a quick over easy egg with some cilantro thrown on top. Number 4 is just an upgraded autism meal. I just did some mac and cheese with some spices, apples, I had some leftover smoked cheddar, and then the yogurt again with mango. Number 7 is tteokbokki. And that's a Korean thing. I believe that one I mixed... There are 2 prominent styles of tteokbokki you'll find when you look up a recipe. There is traditional. Fair enough, I prefer Mexican and Italian. I wanted my father's food. That looks good, thank you. There are 2 types of tteokbokki that you'll find. There's the traditional, which is usually more beef-based, it's very spicy, and then there's the honey version that you will also find. This one, I mixed the 2 versions together. You would absolutely not get that stuff. I think 8 was just normal ramen, just a really quick ramen that I threw together. I'm pretty damn sure of it. I think that might have been like a beef broth that I pulled from scratch. And then the last one is sushi. That is, I believe I did an off-brand California roll. Or no, that wasn't California roll. No, that is... No, I didn't have avocado. Which... There's one that's just cucumber, cream cheese, and then crab. That's not California roll, is it? I swore California roll also has... avocado. Dad, can I share the recipe that I made? Go for it. I eat most foods, but I can't... But I eat number 8. Fair. I found rice cakes here. I can make tteokbokki. My work sells the recipe. Oh, wait, Pumpkin, you want to see how tteokbokki is spelled? Because I love it. I've memorized it at this point. That's tteokbokki. It's a fun spelling. Chat, I gotta go. Enjoy your stuff and good night. Bye, cheesecake. What kind of sushi roll types? What kind of roll is that? Because I just did this... Is it a Cali? No, it's it's a Philadelphia, I think. Salmon, cream cheese, and cucumber. Okay. So, I did a Philadelphia roll, but substitute the salmon for chicken. Just canned chicken. Wait, no, I don't. I'm changing my sleep schedule. But yeah, I was lucky enough a year or two ago, I got a bamboo mat off of Amazon. It was like $8. And for some reason, I knew with the bamboo mat that it was going to also give me a rice paddle and then a rice spreader. For some reason, they gave me like 5 pairs of chopsticks as well. So those are the nicest chopsticks I own. And I got them for free. For $8. I have 2 bamboo mats now. So I'm gonna bed rot off stream anyway. Fair. But yeah, this is the stuff I make. That's the food. I had food. When did I think I just had cereal for breakfast and then a bowl of fruit in the middle of the day. Yeah. And then my brother made turkey sloppy joes for dinner. Jasmine rice, canned tuna, drained tuna juices, add mayo, any Asian hot sauce, sesame oil, hoisin sauce, soy sauce, seaweed bits, avocado, or cucumber. Easy but so good and filling. So real. I'm out of agua. I haven't done any work this entire time. Okay. I've spent another little bit just talking. Okay. I need more water. I'm gonna run for water, and then we're actually building this time. Water has been acquired. My mom gets pre-cooked rice packets that you can steam in the microwave, so it takes me like 5 minutes to assemble. I'm European, I don't measure, I just add until it tastes good. Real. Wanna hear a dad joke? Why don't people in RVs like normal campers? They're always intense. Oh, the bastardized Potato O'Brien. Yeah, I still love that story. Pumpkin, honestly, should we just hop in the mod VC? I don't know if you're comfortable with that, but... what do I need? Oh, okay, I don't. I need to measure stuff out. Fair. Seasonings, probably just do, like, a teaspoon, tablespoon of each, something like that. For the love of God, yes. Okay, hold on. Let's hop in VC with Pumpkin. Mod VC. And let me make sure Discord... Yeah, Discord. Okay. Discord is able to be heard. Let's see how long it takes for them to get in here. I'm just staring at Discord. One sec. Discord crashed. Okay. They join when they join. They'll just jump scare me is how this is gonna work out. I have everything I need to finish up those buildings. Let's do this so I can save on inventory space. The first thing I need to do is continue adding roof to one of the buildings. That is probably not enough. Oh, yeah, you might want to mute stream. Hi, Pumpkin, how are you?
Hi.
I may need to turn you up, actually. Oh, you're at max, that's why. Okay. Hi, hello. Would you like to tell the bastardized O'Brien story?
Oh. I mean, yeah, might as well. Also, hello, chat. It's been a long time since I've been
recording just in case.
Voice chat on this channel. Holy.
Since the hardcore?
So, yeah, I want to say since either the very, very beginning of PSMP or the hardcore, yeah.
No, it was the beginning of PSMP. The last time was literally the video with the bucket shrine. The trial chamber.
Yes, it was.
Oh,
Oh, damn, that was forever and 10 years ago. Alright.
half a year or something.
Bastardized
Beginning of the year.
Brian story. So, when I lived where I used to, a friend had asked me to, like, house sit for them because they had 2 dogs. And they were going to go spread their, grandparents' ashes. And I was like, yeah. I get paid for that. I get to go, hang out and, play
Oh, the lag.
with that. And so, in a rush, they forgot to, one, make sure that I had a, reliable transportation. So I had to have my mom constantly come pick me up for work. Which was great, because she hates going to people's houses, right? And then they forgot to stock the, house with food. So what was left at her house was a half-moldy bell pepper, a bag of russet potatoes, 3 bags of chopped ramen, a growing clove of garlic, and, a bag of half-eaten bacon bits. I shit you not. There was also, a can of corn, but, I'm not gonna cook a can of corn, I'm just eating that shit out of a can. So,
Fair.
Oh, my bad, sorry.
Yeah, those would be yours, I just slept.
Where's bed?
Go to the AFK inn.
The what?
let me take you to the inn. Hold on, let's go to the inn. Follow the road. We're going to the AFK inn.
Every time I try to tell a story, something always happens.
Ignore the pillagers. Yeah, we don't care about you.
Yeah, they can't.
Oh, you suck. That is not the AFK inn. That is not an inn. That is the B&B.
Oh, no,
Get out of the B&B. That's the shop. This is I can't open the door. This is the inn. Just turn. Go back here. Listen to me. Go into a room. Thank you. Book a room for the night.
I don't think so.
Also, I feel it's important to mention it's the AFK inn. Anyway, carry on.
Anyway, so right. I'm on a call with my friend. Right. And they just graduated out of culinary school. At the time, they were still in culinary school, specifically going over breakfast foods. Right? And I found, in their seasoning cabinet, just a bunch of, 1 seasonings, but 2 different sorts of cooking oils. And there was a really nice bottle of, olive oil that I was able to use. It was great. So my friend was like, alright, what all do you have at this house? And I'm like, okay, I have a bag of potatoes, I have a half-molded bell pepper, I got some garlic that's growing, I have, I don't know, just random things in this house. There was not a lot. Again, because they
Clown said that sounds like my Clown says that's what my Clown says that sounds like what I have in my fridge. I can't. Why is that so hard for me to say? Clown says that sounds like what I have in my fridge daily. Jeez. My stutter will get the worst of me one day. Will get the best of me one day. Jeez, I can't even say that right.
No, I don't think you ever will be able to either.
Just like I can't say banner pattern because of you.
You're welcome. So, they're like, oh, babes, that's not a lot to work with.
I think it already got the best of you. Yeah.
So, they kind of, teach me how to, throw together a really, janked version of a potato O'Brien. This thing had, bacon bits in it, it had, really burnt potatoes because I was cooking with oil for like the first time. Mind you, I had no idea how to cook, and they were walking me through this at 11:58 at night.
Oh dear. Well, your sleep
And
schedule.
it had some really soggy, like, bell peppers. But hey, 10 out of 10, I'd eat it again. So every so often, when I have like a bag of potatoes, some really about to go off bell peppers, and like an onion, I kind of throw it together and add some egg into it, and like cream cheese, some like a sneeze of cheese on there, you know, the good stuff.
Fucking. You're never letting go of a sneeze of cheese, are you?
I will never let go of
Sneeze of cheese and best thing since coarse dirt is your vocabulary. Hey sir, have you heard of DoorDash? But money.
I need you to know that I had no money. There was a reason why I was dog sitting.
Yeah. Money is the problem.
Me like $300. Also,
I mean, that's about what I have right now.
Area that did deliver.
That doubled my money.
My friend tried to DoorDash me food.
That sounds about right. Was it Bear, or you hadn't met Bear yet at this point, huh?
No,
have you met
Bear? But
okay.
He was off on one of his digs.
Okay. Huh, Brooke. Yeah, I'm trying.
Yeah.
I'm trying. Help me.
No,
help
it was the
me.
friend that taught me how to cook. Help me. Help me.
No, I'm pointing down to this. I'm pointing down to the Streamloots. I'm pointing down to the sub goal.
Help me. Yeah, that's fair. If I had more than just $30 in my account, I would totally do that. But that $30 is going in my gas tank in the morning.
Also, to be fair, I've managed to stay at 300 despite not having any income, or having like an allowance worth of income for a month or two now. And in this economy, living downtown, that's not that bad.
I get through a door. Apparently I cannot get through a door.
I can't be talking though, I have $6. You have $6 and you're calling me broke?
Hey, that can give you 2 months of basic nitro on Discord.
That could buy you like 6 Arizona iced teas.
Hey, it could also get you to go to the dollar store and get you at least 4 things to eat.
How many? I have to think prices. Hold on.
It's $1.25.
No, I'm thinking ramen packets. My local store, I can get like the really cheap ramen packets for 30 cents each.
30 cents? Dog, they're 65 here.
I don't know, man. To be fair, my local store also has Arizonas for 68 cents each right now.
Well, yeah, that's the normal price. They're like 50 cents here.
Ah. Yeah, no, the normal price it's been for years was 98.
Wow. Dude, I saw like an Arizona iced tea for $3.50 the other day.
Jeez, no.
I was like, I'm not paying $3.50 for 16-ounce Arizona iced tea. That
My gas station has 59-cent ramen. I just found a village in the Minecraft world I started like 15 minutes ago. Hell yeah. Oh, wait. Do we want to explain my current record with ancient cities?
Oh.
And how it came to be? Because I've explained how I got there, but I didn't explain what exactly occurred in order to cause this situation to happen. Emerald, first day. Nice!
Hell yeah. Okay, so I'm currently on another server. That's why I'm not really on this one.
Yeah.
And so there was a debate on who could find the like end city the quickest. Everyone
not
had
end
their
city,
money
ancient
on
city.
this one person. End city, ancient city, both have city in the name. Whatever. Both underground things that you have to dig for in the dark. All right.
Since when do you have to dig for an ancient city or an end city? You got me doing it now. Since when do you have to dig for an end city?
Well, you have to dig to get it out to like go into the
The end city?
thing.
Okay. But you don't
Yeah,
actually
you're gonna. My logic
you don't
is
actually
nothing
have to
your
dig
brain. I understand that.
you don't have to
It makes
dig for the
total
end
sense.
city.
Yeah, you do. You have to dig into the portal room to then go through the portal to
Not
defeat
always,
Freddy,
that's
to
not a
then be able to go
guarantee.
through a portal.
That is not a guarantee.
Okay, well that's how I've had to do it every time. So
To be
anyway,
fair,
we're
the
getting off
same thing
topic
goes for
here.
the ancient city, because finding that ancient city, I didn't dig at all. I went through caves
No,
and then
you fell
found that
through it.
bitch. Yep. Anyway, carry on.
Anyway, so
Ramen where I live is 49
there was
cents.
a debate,
Noise.
and someone was like, "Oh yeah, I can find it within an hour." Right? And I was like, I can get one person on the server and I guarantee you they can find it in 10 minutes. Right? Without even trying. Right?
I just walked in the direction, man.
Yeah, no. So the other person decided to then, like, not come online for, like, how long was it after you found it? 2 hours? They still haven't tried to beat your record, by the way. But I did win the bet.
Yeah. My current record of finding an ancient city is 13 minutes, and this is, like, explicitly just walking to find one. However, I have a track record of finding the ancient city by accident in increasingly more crazy ways, and I'm struggling to top the last one. Because the last time I found an ancient city, I left an ancient city and found another one by accident. I don't know how you go to an ancient city and find a second one by accident. But that's what I did.
Yeah, that doesn't surprise me.
So, yeah.
But yeah,
I still think my favorite time I've ever found an ancient city, this was one of the Amalgamation runs, I'm pretty sure. A creeper blew up, and it I walked into a cave like, I'm probably gonna find the Deep Dark. I'm gonna find the city, aren't I? I walk into a cave and I see Deep Dark light up because I have Traveler's title, so it tells you when you enter a new biome. I see Deep Dark, but there's no skulk around. A creeper comes over and explodes in front of me. It breaks just enough stone to expose some skulk. I break the skulk, so I'm like, oh yeah, there's the Deep Dark. And then I look down through the skulk, it reveals a new cave, and there's the ancient city. Just the perfect lineup of coincidences in order for that to be possible.
Yeah. That checks out for you, though.
Yeah, I have a odd luck. Very ridiculous luck. I don't... Can I not have streamer luck, please? Please? I'd like that not to happen.
Yeah,
are you magical? Apparently.
Less fortunate.
If every time I play modded, I open the nether portal and it ends up at another fortress. It doesn't matter if I'm creative or survival. Every single time, whether or not I'm on or off camera. I could boot up Amalgamation right now, load a brand new world, randomly place a nether portal, and I will end up in the fortress. That's how confident I am. Also, I should mention, on this server, let me pause my recording. On this server, I have a bunch of ancient cities found, yes? The first 3 are the funniest ones possible. The rest of them I purposely went out and found. The first one, ancient city up here, I was showing Pumpkin the Seed. This was really early days. This was before I even had anybody else on the SMP. I went to this valley, because it's a beautiful valley, and I teleported over to it on a copy of the seed. And it put me in the ground, because teleporting's annoying. And I turned myself to spectator mode, and I happened to be looking straight down. There's the ancient city. The next one I found isn't actually City 2 Electric Boogaloo. It's called That Ancient City over here. I went over here, and I'm like, yeah, there's probably an ancient city down here. I had told Lilac, oh, I'm ogling this mountain, there's probably some Deep Dark under it, we can fight the Wither versus the Warden, because of course I was doing that. And I'm like, okay, let's dig straight down, there's probably something here. It was the first time I'd ever, like, really loaded these chunks. I dig straight down, and I land in the ancient city. The third one, which is actually labeled number 2, City 2, Electric Boogaloo, I went out for diamonds, early in the season. I wanted 2 heavy cores as decoration, and I promised anybody in the server who would find me them a stack of diamond blocks per heavy core that they found me. So I went out mining for a bit. And
of course, this happened to be the time when I started to move and I couldn't even participate.
And I went down this cave right here, and I followed it down, and I'm like, oh, there's the deep dark, and I take a few steps further. Oh, yeah, there's the ancient city again. Okay. Lovely. just right lovely. So, yeah. I think what's even funnier about the record I have for the ancient city is... Yeah, I'm not even gonna look at that sign. I didn't even grab the stone I needed. What's even funnier about that record is I actually found that ancient city in like the first 5 minutes, but we made I myself decided that doesn't count, because I literally just went down a cave and saw it. I wanted to get the achievement Sneak 100, but I died several times getting down into the ancient city, so that's why my record's actually 13 minutes and not 5. Because it most certainly could actually just be 5.
It could have been, but again, you died and wouldn't let me stop the timer after you successfully landed. You just failed doing so.
No, I didn't successfully land. I didn't even land in the ancient city that first death. I landed and I went to land.
It splattered everywhere.
I went to land in a little pool of water in a lush cave and landed on the clay next to the water.
You never were the strong one at droppers.
I have horrible depth perception. I think we've been over this many a time. Yeah. I have really horrible depth perception. I'm amazed I've survived in life this long.
Fair.
Thank you for keeping us awake, Billy Bob. I need to do more of these. I'm genuinely enjoying the stream. I think literally next project, I'm just gonna stream it. It'll give me more free time. Give me more footage, too.
Honestly, I'm a little surprised you didn't stream this.
I don't typically stream building, because my building process is staring at the screen for several hours, taking a step back, stare at it for several hours, and then start building again. And then go back and forth several times over. What? Oh, I need to craft more. It's a lot of the draft phase. I'm more than happy to, like, just sit here in place. I did the metal pipe. Sorry, Cloud. Sorry. Rude, that wasn't me. I just heard metal pipe, okay? I need... Hey, Pumpkin, can you run to my base and get me more scaffolding? I don't think I have more pre-crafted, but there might be bamboo. If not, we have a jungle portal.
Where's the portal again?
Up in my storage room, up left. Let me know when you get to the storage room. I know exactly which chest it is if it does have scaffolding, which I'm 99% sure it does.
I go across the bridge to get to the portal? Yes, I do. Okay.
Yes. It's in the train station. So I'm pretty sure I have
I just heard
4 stacks of scaffolding.
Because I turned on the volume a little bit on accident.
Oh.
Why do I sound so high-pitched? Is that what I sound like to you?
Yeah. I'm sorry to say, yeah.
That's unfortunate.
I mean, do you remember what I sounded like? And what some of my old videos still sound like?
Yeah, but you also have a professional mic. I have headphones.
I have a $20 mic. All the settings are because of OBS. I may have done 5 metal pipes this stream. We need a metal pipe counter. Because I met you I do, because I met you pre-T. Yeah. I need cobblestone and food. Cobblestone. I should just grab 3 stacks, honestly.
Yeah, you're past lilac.
Thank you, Billy Bob. Are you in my storage room?
No, I just passed Lilac's portal.
Okay.
I'm still learning the nether system.
Gotcha. Yeah, I'm just the 3rd portal down.
What did you do? Why do you need help?
Miss them a lot.
Okay.
I'll be back. Fucking love them. I miss my wife, Tails. I miss her a lot. I'll be back.
Okay, I'm in the
I need to go get my cat inside. Hold on, I need to get my cat inside the house. It's way late, he should be in by now. Okay, hold on, I'll be back. I need my cat. Ugh.
I love the dead silence and then just metal pipe sounds. That scared balls off me. I can just see it now. We're gonna be in the editing studio later. AKA, I'm gonna be on a Discord call with him, and he's just gonna be showing me the progress. And we're just gonna count how many metal pipes you do.
Editing studio?
Oh no! My brain decided to just, like, spit out a word.
Dusty's eating treats. I was gonna get him in my room and show him the camera, but he's eating treats. He found a pile and said, no, we're stopping everything. I'm eating these right now. Are you in my storage room?
Yes.
The first staircase to the left. Take an immediate right to those chests. At the very end, very bottom right barrel.
Ooh. Got it.
10 metal pipe drops. It should have sticks. Okay, yeah, that'll do. I'd even pause my flashback. I'm not even sure if I'm gonna use the flashback, but I'd rather have more recordings than less recording. Or more footage than less footage. Wonderful. That's the fitness grand pacer test all over again.
You know.
And what's funny is only 3 people, including myself, in this chat know what that means. I don't even know if I have that video unlisted. That video might just be gone. Does that video exist? Hold on, I'm opening up YouTube. Does that video exist? I think it does. Every now and again when I edit, like, tags in mass, I see it again.
Mm. Oh.
What, YouTube Studio is... Shut up, me. YouTube Studio, content... 1:30. What? Was it just me or did the audio bug out on that one?
No, it did.
Okay.
It did.
That's sad that that doesn't save in VODs. That's great. Anyway, I do have it unlisted. When the chat spams the fitness grand pacer test with a whopping 12 views. March 3rd, 2022.
Wasn't I one of the people that spammed the fitness gram page? What wasn't I the one that started it?
No, that was not Daniel.
Mm.
You were not in my chat at that point. I've told you about it many a time, but...
I'm surprised I'm not the one.
Why is it buggy? I don't know. Oh, yeah, I couldn't tell you. Alright, wonderful. Scaffolding. 15. Jeez. How do that thing? Can I reach from here? Is easy place mode that good? No, it's not. I mean, I guess this works.
So, my mom warned me not to steal the kitchen utensils. It is a risk I'm willing to take.
Sorry, couldn't hear you. Metal pipe drop? Repeat?
It is a risk I'm willing to take.
Are you reading from your dad joke book again?
No.
That's a very innocent no you got right there.
My boss is threatening to fire the
I was waiting like, do you have the comedic timing? Do you know what I want from you in this moment? And you knew exactly what I wanted in that moment. That was great. Oh, that was fucking gold. Anyway, yeah? Hello? Oh no, the metal pipe got him.
I'm reading. The metal pipe got him.
I'm out of metal pipes.
So
I'm gonna have to slowly add these in editing because they don't save to the VODs.
yes, yes, you are. I'm starting a business to teach short people math. It's called Making the Little Things Count.
That sounds like it'd be a Cards Against Humanity card.
It really does.
I love Lightmatica so much. This would have taken me a month if I didn't have Lightmatica.
Here's one I think you might enjoy.
Yep.
How do you make the number 1 disappear?
Not a clue.
You just add a G and it's gone.
Yeah, I like that. I love my delayed processing. I'm gonna have to like zoom into my face just going, huh? Oh.
Oh my god, are you gonna bring out
There's a cat.
little thingy again?
There's a cat at my door.
Of just me reading books in the corner of your screen.
You know the rules. You interrupt stream, you have to be on stream.
That is the
Yep.
boy. Look at the fuzzy boy.
How do you feel? Do you like metal pipe drop? Let me get a meow.
There's
No?
no thoughts behind his eyes.
Yeah. He's very happy with the way I've rearranged my room now. That dark blanket that's draped over that's actually his blanket that I bought specifically for him. And I actually have pillows in that corner. There's a bookshelf at the end of my bed. I have pillows in that corner, so he has pillows to lay against. You got treats, I'm not giving you any.
I'm telling you, man. Making a nest out of blankets is like the comfiest thing.
I make a nest when I sleep, otherwise the rest of the day it looks like a neurotypical bed. Nice. Oh, I don't... Oh, those are meant to... The schematic wants me to make those air blocks, because I actually had to move that building to make the correct silhouette that I wanted. Also, in addition, I should mention, these buildings are not placed randomly, they are actually placed with intent and purpose, and I literally... The only reason we have so many buildings is because I wanted a very specific skyline that you can see from spawn. Or from, like, the actual center of spawn. So, like, if I pause real quick and run all the way over here, and I plop myself, and I plop myself right here. Oh, game, you wound me. You won't load the buildings. I hate servers. I'm turning my chunks to 32. Turning my chunks to 32 doesn't work. Okay, when I'm done building, I will show the creative world I'm using. That gives this area the perfect silhouette. And it's gorgeous.
That's right.
Yeah.
I forgot about that.
How many pipe drops are we at? 25. Wonderful.
So far,
I've just started
Humpty Dumpty is
tuning them
having a
out.
terrible winter. Which sucks, because he had a great fall.
For a sec, I thought you were gonna say, if I could make the joke, if I could land the joke, that'd be great. For a sec, I thought you were gonna say, it's been a rough year for growing dragons. This year, all we got was a tail. Old Billy down the road got a whole dragon.
Oh no.
That is a niche reference. That is a very niche reference.
You just made me feel old with that one.
Scatsberry, anybody? Lord Scatsberry. I thank you so much for showing me that guy. That was great. Wait, didn't you like tell me he was doing content again?
Oh yeah, no, he went back to making content. Let me see when his last
Hell
video
yeah.
was posted. It wasn't too long ago.
Hell yeah. Fucking Vine Boom. Almost 2 hours later, we got 2 more buildings done.
Last month he posted Helldiver. The video before that is Skyrim.
Ooh. I'm out of
He
stone!
did play the Oblivion remastered.
Oh. Yeah, I see that. Checks out. Ooh, I'm lagging enough I can efficiently elytra hop. This is fantastic. Somehow I'm still yet to be out of stone. I managed to collect enough that I have yet to run out of stone at all.
Well, that's kind of what happens when you pillage a mountain.
No, this was all from the stone gen this morning. Or no, that was last night. I just sat at the stone gen for about an hour. The deep slate was this morning.
I'm glad you're having fun.
And I did take a half an hour detour to remove all the lava in the vicinity. Oh wait, hold on. Y'all want to see the deep slate mines? I like. Oh, I didn't even unpause that time. That's sad. You know, I'm confident I know how I'm gonna be recording this, or like editing this at this point. I'm just gonna use the stream. We're not even gonna bother with the actual building of it. Let's hope I don't die getting down here. So this is the pit, and it has recently been extended. Yeah. So before today, this area onwards wasn't here. This was all filled out before today. And it also had a bunch of lava pockets, but I got rid of those too. Yeah.
How many times have I died to that hole?
$29 metal pipe drops, wonderful. Or 30 now? I can't tell which order the counting goes in.
He sends the number before he metal pipe drops.
Okay.
We're about to be at 30.
Can I alter the counting channel? I need to check on the counting bot. I need to know if I can change the image to a metal pipe.
A metal pipe?
Yeah. We're just gonna start counting metal pipes. I should add a metal pipe image, or emote, to the Discord. I need to also, there's like a bunch of things I need to do. I've literally only spent this week on this. Since Tuesday, this is all I've been doing, is working on this project in some form or fashion. Well, I need to actually look into stream loots, because I have made emotes a couple times now, despite not being able to, like, use them on stream, but purely for Discord. And I'm pretty sure I can give stream loot subs emotes, so they can use them in Twitch chat.
Hey, Mew.
Yeah?
What do you call a typo on a headstone?
Don't know.
A grave mistake.
have so much cobblestone. I just need more. Oh wait, no, I don't need stone. I need the smooth stone. I need to be smooth brain. Oh wait, hold. I don't need slabs. I need actual. Ah, 33. Well, lovely.
So, I bought a new pair of gloves today.
I didn't even finish this one. Yeah, new gloves.
But they're both lefts, which is, on one hand, is great. But on the other hand, it's just not right.
Real. What the metal pipe drop has become, in my mind, I don't know if anybody else knows this Tumblr post. This is a very specific Tumblr post I'm thinking of that's been reposted a lot, so I assume at least somebody else knows it. Is the idea of like, oh, I'd be great at a lighthouse. I don't want to be around any other people. It's like, no, lighthouses, you have to get used to the horn blaring, and so you learn to start talking in conversations like this, and account for pauses for the flare horn. That's how I feel with the metal pipe.
I suspect someone has been adding soil to my garden. The plot thickens.
Oh, hold on. This is my favorite joke that's I ever said. The short situation. This did not occur. This started on a stream, and it ended after a stream on a Discord on that same SMP that, like, I got the Ancient City record. Pumpky just started calling me short one stream, and I talked to them about it after stream, and they refused to elaborate, so I got them they were on a voice call, and I infiltrated it simply to ask, what was that about? Because they insisted that simply calling me short was a joke. And everybody else agreed with me in the voice call. Just calling somebody short isn't a joke. There's no joke there. You're just making a statement. And so I made the example of... No. I'm telling my joke. So I made the example of... The way you told that joke was... My wife told me the other day... And slowly the rest of the voice call understands as the silence stretches on and more people start laughing. There was just complete silence that followed up. Everybody else was expecting the punchline. Nothing happened.
We were just doing one-liners after you left the call. That was the best part. And I need you to know.
I don't even remember why I needed to leave.
Who taught me? I don't even remember. I need you to know. So the friend who taught me how to make the bastardized potato O'Brien joined the call after that. I told them what just happened, and they're like, no, because calling someone short is so funny. With no context. And they agreed with me, and then my mom was eavesdropping at that point. And then she thought it was funny, too.
There is no punchline there. It is just a statement. There is no objective joke. I am aware of this, but still, you're just making a statement. That is no there's no joke there.
I am.
It is a statement. That is not a joke. The only way a statement is a good joke if the statement in itself is funny. Like, oh, something bad happened to this horrible person. That's funny. I think metal pipe drop as a statement is funny. Gets upset over it. Okay, this is... I'm gonna bitch about something else for a minute, because that's not bitching. I'm gonna bitch about this. Every time I argue anything, people think I'm upset over it. Anytime I argue anything, people get upset over it, because you're just objectively wrong. Because I'm not actually upset. You're just objectively wrong. Like, I try and tell people, I'm not upset. I'm just trying to show that you're objectively wrong in this scenario, and they think I'm upset over it, when I'm just trying to teach you that you're wrong. You keep trying to tell me 1 + 1 is 3, and I'm telling you it's 2! Why would I be upset over the fact that it's 2, when you were just objectively wrong? I understand I don't have passion in my voice at points like this, but that's just because arguing is way more fun than anything else I do. Don't mistake my passion for anger. My passion is arguing is fun.
Clown gets it. Clown gets
This is why I thought you were already diagnosed autistic. Yeah, that's fair. My family's not convinced. My dad has a Hot Wheels collection, and my mom has a salt and pepper shaker collection.
Your
the salt and
dad
pepper
also has a massive fucking movie collection too.
No, that's a joint collection by both of my parents. Everybody in my family has their own personal movie collection.
No, your dad.
Half of our Christmas and birthday lists are movies. Every Christmas, we give each other movies. I don't think this is a tradition that's pure to my household. I'm pretty damn sure. With your stocking, we have like little things that hold up our stockings on the fireplace. You put a movie up there with it. That is a specifically my family thing, and I'm pretty sure of it. We just collect movies. I have 2 bins of movies.
Speaking of the movie your dad gave me, I found it the other day.
Oh, nice. The Star Galactica, I think, right?
Battlestar Galactica, yeah.
Okay, I was close enough. The one with the really weird intro? Or is that a different thing? Okay.
Oh, no, you're thinking of Buck Rogers.
Okay, but
no.
yeah, okay. The spy guy?
Spy guy? No!
I will always make fun of you for that. That one spy guy! You know the one.
Billy Bob the second.
Okay, time for me to go sleep. Alright, night-night, Billy Bob. Have fun not listening to Metal Pipe. We'll try. It'll never be as fun as pausing for the Metal Pipe. Actually, at one point I just stopped listening. I just stopped listening. I didn't even acknowledge it.
I mean, you never know.
I'm not even sure if I'm gonna add in half of those in editing. I don't even know if this is gonna be able to be. Actually, it probably will. I get up at ungodly hours at this point, so.
I love how I click in to do a notification noise. And I just have the 13-second cooldown on my end.
That was me that time. 41? 42, anyone? Thank you. I have 0 regrets about this. If I didn't stream, I would have just been listening to Rubber Ross World and Blue Oyster Cult.
It's okay. I was crocheting a mushroom hat, listening to the list of songs that I sent you.
Oh, I don't have any andesite. Need it.
42?
Bye-bye. Farewell.
Farewell.
Okay.
Anyway, so I need you to
Nice
know
try.
it fit so very well of the characters because it goes from them meeting, right, to them slowly realizing that they fell in
your
love.
playlist.
Yeah. To then them like slowly like being okay with the fact that they have fallen in love with each other and starting their relationship just for one of them to fucking die because oh the game! Oh man, why would they do that?
I didn't grab any
The
andesite.
acceptance of yeah, they're dead and now I'm moving on.
Lump?
With it.
A llama? He's supposed to be dead. Actually, he is supposed to be dead. There's just a lead here. Where's your villager? You're supposed to be dead. Literally. This is not even a joke.
A platypus?
Okay, andesite. A platypus.
Plumber platypus?
Harry the plumber platypus. No, Perry the plumber platypus. Plumber platypus. I found a new one.
And my mom wonders why I want to record.
I found a new one.
You changed my sign!
Oh wait, this is the wrong crafting table. Yeah? You got a problem?
No, it was great.
Ah, yeah, I should have expected that. I still find it so funny, like, you think it's hilarious that, like, doing that to me? I've never the only reason I know the game exists is because of you. I never played that with my
Yeah,
siblings or, like,
the reason
any
I
of
know
my
it's a
friends.
thing because of, yeah. I mostly do it at this point to piss off chat if there's ever a chatter that knows it.
Fair. Oh, right. I don't need these blocks. I need my stockpile of andesite. What I find hilarious is I've let multiple people take large amounts of my andesite, and I still have an extra shulker of andesite. Same thing goes for, like, diorite and granite.
I need to
Huh?
get andesite casings. Oh, for the factory,
Oh.
I need a bunch of andesite casings, and I have little to no andesite left,
Oh, that sucks.
and I need to, you know, start my unethically sourced chocolate factory.
Yeah?
Yeah. For the chat, it started out as a joke, but
It's not a joke anymore.
I play on I play on the create mod specifically, and you can make chocolate. I've made it my goal to become a chocolatier. And you know, my friend was like, "You should get like that one milk farm," and he sent me a video to it. And it's this video of a chocolate factory on the Create mod where it randomly picks up a cow, milks it a bunch, and then throws it into a pit of lava.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
That's it.
Yeah.
So I've slowly implemented more unethically OSHA violations into my chocolate factory. I have around like 150 allays flying around currently. They run the machines.
Don't forget to miss the railings.
Oh, there are no railings.
And exposed cliff edges.
Oh yeah, no, there's exposed cliff edges. The machines are completely out in the open. There's food prep that has cross contamination in it. You know, all the goods.
Yeah?
Oh, you you should see the farms that I got going on for like sugarcane and cocoa beans.
Cuckoo beans? Yeah?
I did say cocoa beans. Oh my god! I waited for like the audio to play back to prove you wrong, but no, I genuinely said
Cuckoo bean.
oh.
I'm gonna make a cookie shop and patch it as a Season 2. And it's
I mean,
every cookie is just gonna be named a cuckoo cookie. Which honestly, fair. I just want to be like the crazy guy on the server, despite being the owner. I just want to be the crazy guy on the server. Like, I know that's your shtick, but it's become a lot more of mine lately. Especially with this project.
At this point.
Yeah. Or you're the cryptid, I'm just the crazy guy of randomly huge projects for no particular reason.
Yeah.
There's no reason for me to actually be doing this project at all. This is literally all my own doing. The only reason I'm here is because of my own doing. I don't have to do any of this, but I want to. I see the vision, we're almost there. The buildings I'm at right now, these are the last ones. This is all I have left. And then it's all done. We're done. I can log off, I can sleep. And then I have to do more work tomorrow, but I can sleep for tonight. I seriously contemplated doing an all-nighter, by the way. I seriously contemplated it. Just to get this done. This is not the right coconut mall. What the hell? What off note is this shit? Why is it off note? It's like one pitch too high. They put a little too much emphasis on the kazoo. You know how there's a trombone simulator? I want there to be a trombone simulator, but it's just a kazoo. Your only instrument is the kazoo. That's all you can use. That's all you can do.
Fair. Anyway.
I would love that. Anyway.
Speaking of the chocolate factory,
Oh dear.
you know how I'm actually making, like, chocolate in real life now, right?
Yeah, loosely. You
Okay,
probably
so-
brought it up,
yeah.
but I don't quite remember.
If I haven't told you, I will now. So, I figured out my works, those, like, the cacao nibs.
Oh, yes, yes, yes. Okay, you have.
Just raw cacao nibs. No, not raw. Roasted.
I have so much to... Yeah.
So much to, yeah, I wish I could join COD. I feel that. Anyway, I went out and got silicone molds for I can actually, start shaping it.
I have a game for you to play, by the way, Crazy Clown. I have a game that I need to drag you through. I've explained... No, I've explained to you 99 Nights and my utter passion for it. I wish I was playing 99 Nights right now. But no, I'm here building. It's... You could actually, Clown, you could probably see it in my past history. It's on Roblox. Go ahead and try for yourself if you want to, but I'd recommend at least waiting for me to give you a few pointers. Because you ain't gonna last long.
I need you to know. The whole time I've been here, I've been thinking about continuing my Crash Bandicoot game.
Go for it. I mean, it's a fun game. I seriously love it. It's a survival, base builder exploration. You have to make sure you get it back to your base every single night. It's great.
Yeah. I'm gonna crochet instead. Oh, why would I do that to myself?
Did you miscount?
No.
I want to play that now? Good luck.
I forgot. Okay. So I have
It is seriously fun though, but good luck.
At in the living room. And I forgot I shut off the light part and turned on the fan last night because it was really hot. And apparently the person who shut it off didn't turn the light part back on. So I just turned on the light and almost fell. Because, like, I was slumped against the wall.
Okay, I probably won't because of that.
Just to find out.
Play watch. Fair.
Nobody turned the light part back on.
Jeez. I'll have to set up a time so I can actually play with you and get you through the game. Because it's fun when you, like, ignore the story and just have fun with playing the game. Also, there's really dumb achievements.
I get my cat cameo.
Ooh, wait.
Hi, Brian.
Is it? No. Okay.
Hello, little boy.
Some of the songs on the streaming playlist are, like, meant for kids. It's just Minecraft parodies. But it's a Oh, fucking pink wool! This is one of the few things I will swear for. I used wool in order to actually, like, make a base for this thing. And then I used world edit brushes over it. And it's so annoying when I see a spot that I missed. That it's just wool. I hate it. I hate it so much. That's like the 7th spot that's been wool when it should be a block. I hate it. Ooh, the lag is strong with this one. How long until I crash? Oh, oh, there we go.
I was used as a trampoline by my cat.
Oh. Oh yeah, you aren't supposed to be there, and you aren't either, and you aren't either.
Loving on me.
Who else is in chat? I think it's just you.
On my stomach and then jumped.
And if anybody else is, then they're probably lurking, and that's A-okay as well. People got their stuff going on, I completely understand. Hell, most of the time I'm a lurker.
I know Plush was in here earlier.
Didn't they just, like, complain that I went live while they were at work and then left? Or at least didn't chat more?
They normally do.
It says there's another person. It could be Pumpky with the stream open. Or it could be Faye, because I believe they... I know Faye sometimes lurks in my chat. Yeah. I know Pumpky has it up, as well, I'm pretty sure.
Mm-hmm.
How am I running out? Oh, the pink wool! You suck. I'm a survivor.
So glad right now because it's the one day I'm not at work that I can actually like help you out with this.
Oh, the lag is strong. Oh wait, hold on, it's night. We can sleep away the snow. Hi, Kat. How are you?
No,
I rearranged my room specifically just so... Did I never put... I never placed that market stall. Okay, whatever. It's not getting placed then. I don't care. I'm supposed to go to bed in like 15 minutes. I'm supposed to be in bed snuggled up in 15 minutes. I just want to get this done. Honestly, I'd probably stay up anyway. I'm having way too much fun.
Oh, what row am I on?
Oh, the crochet.
Why would I do this? Why would I do this? I like stopped halfway through a row and I didn't leave my marker where I was supposed to leave it. To find exactly what row I'm on. Because I hate myself, apparently.
Apparently. I need to just randomly stream like this more often, and just have fun with it. There are so many times I do grand journeys like this, and half of them don't make it into videos. And another half aren't even recorded. Yeah, what are we doing? Okay, you chilling out.
57, 58, 59, 60. Ooh, okay, I'm on 60, which means...
Yeah, no. Do that, and then grab more cobble.
Any increases anywhere?
But I'm definitely doing the next project like this. I adored this stream. Next project will be North Snowkea and all the mini games there. I know I have it listed. The things that come to mind that I absolutely want to make mini games out of. I want to make one just having to do fox and berries, and you have to like machine claw around a fox in order to pick as many berries as you can. Because I just think that'd be funny and be an interesting game. I want to see if I can make that mechanic. I also want to do rooftop golf and like an inside parkour or rooftop parkour. Something along the lines of that. I know those were the top two I could think of. I know- oh, I wanted to make a chess and checkers area. So you could just play chess or checkers in the game. I think I wanted to also do spleef, maybe? Or like a leaf spleef, or... Oh, I want to make dodgeball. My friend is playing Steal a Baddie on Roblox right now. Oh dear. After doing the trial chambers, I realized you could absolutely use the wind charges to play dodgeball. So I want to make a dodgeball arena, and I have a lot of breeze rods from stealing from trial chambers and accidentally killing breezes along the way. So we could absolutely make dodgeball. I really want to make dodgeball.
Ow.
And those are the top ones that come to mind. I know I have a few others that I wanted. Because I wanted to plan like 8 or so, but... Is the game you recommended me the one with the weird looking deer? Yes, it is. He comes to steal your children in the night.
You wanna know the worst thing about that playlist?
Yeah.
I'm only like... What song am I on?
Oh, joy. Oh, goody goody gumdrops. Cranberries. Something I want to start doing, I know I'm starting this for the Amalgamation. Something I want to start doing for, like, video intros. Because I've always wanted to make this, like, a more prominent thing. Really early into streaming, I said that one line of, there's a method to madness, and that method is cranberries. I want to make that my intro, in general. There's a method to the madness, that method is cranberries. Today's cranberries are... Because I just think that'd be funny, and it's even funnier with the context that I don't like cranberries. I don't actually like them at all.
How do you not like cranberries? You know what? You also don't like pumpkin pie. So,
Yeah.
I
I love
confused
pumpkin
that.
seeds, don't like pumpkin pie. It's probably a texture thing. I need to try a cranberry again to see if I do like it. But I refuse to. I haven't touched
Have you
cranberry
tried
sauce at
sweet potato pie
Thanksgiving.
yet?
No. Miss my boyfriend. My phone is broken. I haven't been able to text him at all today. Oh no. That sucks. What do I need? Stone. That's what I need. Oh, the lag. Wonderful.
I feel like this is very fitting to their situation right now.
There we go. Lovely, lovely, lovely. I miss my wife, Tails. I miss her a lot. I'll be back. Now lag. What was that firework? I have level 3 fireworks. What was that little toot? I didn't even grab the blocks I actually needed. Wonderful. Oh. And drive by.
Thank you. I'll be here all night.
Boop. Yeah. Pumpkin is evil for that. Yeah, sounds about right. I need those
I'm normally
blocks.
really tame in chat. Because I'm not in chat long. So the fact that I've been in here since stream started. Just know,
Oh,
you
the
have to
lag.
deal with this on a daily basis.
Oh yeah. To be fair, you are just... I accidentally edited the sign so it forced me to read it for a second. To be fair, you are the friend that just randomly sends stuff and also uses my DMs as a place to list things instead of, you know, using a notes app. Half of our pinned things in Discord are just your note lists. And I'm not sure if I should unpin them or not, because some of them are actually useful. Like, you asked me to type out a chai recipe once.
Oh yeah! I've been looking for that! Thank you for that. I'm going to be pinned right now.
Yeah, okay.
Oh, hey, I can take that crochet pattern and just...
Yeah. Oh yeah, I've sent you quite a few crochet patterns at this point. Should we keep the GIF pot?
The what?
We have a pinned image in our Discord pins that is just a potted plant in a pot, but the pot is painted like Jif peanut butter. And I don't know why it's still pinned, but it is there. Please don't unpin it yet, because I would love to throw it in the video. Ah, yes, okay. We have, like, completely different... We have completely different memories, but they mesh together perfectly, where if one person doesn't remember something, the other one does.
Okay.
My boyfriend has an addiction to peanut butter. Peanut butter's delicious.
The chai recipe. Right?
Yeah.
But above the chai recipe was just me saying, get fucked, with a little heart. Right?
Oh yeah.
Underneath the chai recipe is the evidence of your shame.
Yeah. Okay, evidence of shame requires context, because that didn't make it into a video, I don't think. And it's only ever been a stream story. Oh, that's a wrong block. So, I had a hardcore run that I was doing. It was a modded hardcore. And I was going...
I don't know why they're both things.
So, evidence of my shame is I was going through modded structures in this modded hardcore. I'm pretty sure it was hardcore. Actually, no, I know for a fact it was. Because that was during May, right?
I think so.
If it's in May, it's probably the modded hardcore. Or if it's late May, early June, it's definitely the hardcore.
It says 1 year ago.
Okay.
So...
I was going through modded structures, one of which is Explorify with its... You think I'd remember the name at some point. We're gonna just call them Blackstone Towers, because that's what they are. They're basically they're basically bastions, but just in a tower format, and they can have anywhere between like 1 to, I've seen a maximum of 9 or 10 towers altogether. And I was going through one, and at this point I had my really horribly expensive destructor hammer. I think I made a diamond one that time, not netherite. And I used this in order to get through all the towers. Because it's just set up row, row, row. There's no staircase between the towers, by the way. There's no staircase between each floor. You have to break down at each floor. So I was breaking down into it, and when I reached the bottom, then I'm like, okay, let me get out. Because there's very clearly a bottom place when you stop hitting Blackstone and you start hitting Netherrack. And one time I did this, I'm like, okay, let me check if it's the bottom. And just as I went to mine the block with the destructor hammer, which keep in mind, mine's a 5x5x5 area, a baby piglin ran to pick up some of the gilded blackstone that had dropped from a floor previous. And as I hit the block and mine it away, this baby piglin drops, and it drops directly below the tower straight into lava. I paused the game so fast and had to like cover my mouth to keep myself from screaming laughing. And it's still one of my favorite moments ever. So immediately after this, I had to like, I was typing all caps to Pumpkin about this. I had to like type them about all of this, and I immediately took a screenshot and sent it as evidence of my shame. So that's why we have that pin.
I also don't know why there is 2 messages in quick succession pinned, because the get fucked was sent directly after.
What?
The get fucked message was sent directly after the evidence of your shame.
I don't know. You're in a phase of telling people to get fucked? That's the most I could come up with.
No, but why are they both pinned?
I don't know. Get rid of one of them. It's our DMs. You have the privilege here.
I also found the
Also, I'm literally on the last blocks.
biblically accurate Lenny face.
I spent nearly 16 hours on all of this. Collectively. Or roughly. Let's say 14 hours for good measure. I'm gonna open up Mine Hut after this, and I've ran out of scaffolding. Are you kidding me? I better have more. I'm pretty sure I do. I better have more. I'm not running for more blocks again. I had to run for more blocks in the middle of this. You better. Okay, good, I do. Okay. Can I fly? Please? Stop tooting my frickin' rockets. I just want to fly. When I'm done with this, I'm gonna open up Mine Hut and see how long the server's been up for. Because it's been up since I got up, really. Give or take like a half hour. So that's roughly the estimation of how long I've been working on this. Oh wait, I should also see my stats and see how many hours I have on the server, because I'm sure it's close to 1,000 at this point. If it was 700 several months ago, it's definitely over 1,000. There's not a doubt in my mind about that one. Also, if you're talking, Pumpkin, you're muted.
No, I'm not. I'm counting stitches.
Okay. Ah, fair. I'm yapping then. I can't believe this is almost over. Again, reiterating what I said at the start of stream, this project made me insane in 3 different contexts. Insane for expecting it of myself, going insane doing it, and it's insane that I've managed to do it in the very limited time that I gave myself. Because those last blocks placed, this wasn't here this morning! And I can finally unload these stupid schematics. And the game can stop yelling at me about them. Jeez. I'm not placing string over these. Not for another week. I don't care. I'm grabbing my shulkers.
Yay! Here we go.
Grabbing my shulkers, I'm grabbing my stuff. I'm moving out of this little garage that I found myself in. Oh, great celebration song. Perfect song to end this off. Bop. Oh dear, the lag. That's lovely. Are those might be yours at this point. I'm pretty sure I slept recently. Oh, there goes. Oh, 10:30. Fantastic. I don't even know what thumbnail I'm putting for this. Yeah, you're getting attacked.
Yeah.
I have room in this one. Yes, I do. Now let's see how much stone I can fit in here. Yeah, I'm not gonna, okay. Hold on, I need to move downstairs.
Oh, hey, I found my fishing pole.
Yeah, can I steal the ender chest back now?
Oh, yeah, sorry.
Thank you. Oh, lovely lag. 3, 2,
I was looking
1.
for that earlier.
There we go. No. There are 2 creepers right down there. I am not letting them blow up my build.
God.
Yeah. That's a problem. Just chilling, just hanging out.
No, they are yours.
Phantoms will attack anyone. It's the person who spawned them is the question.
Ow.
Phantoms will attack any player. Yeah, just replant. I really need to throw some grass in there. How about we just be good and both of us sleep? Yeah?
Yeah, give me a second.
I love that I made this in still. Like, I'm literally the only person that uses it, but I don't care. Yeah? The rooms are the exact same, bro.
I'm gonna be so for real. I thought the thing was the top bunk.
Nope.
I thought
That's just a fancy cover. That's a really old Minecraft trick. That's at least like 5 years old. Oh, I just realized this. I see a bunch of icons on the map. That's probably from me not lighting up interiors of houses.
Probably.
That's a problem. I should do that, because none of those have doors. Nothing's stopping those guys from leaving. Except the giant warehouses. The giant warehouses, they're like fully locked in. There's no way in or out of those guys. Smaller warehouses, not so much, but... Jeez, like that! And it's mostly creepers, because we've been at a distance, and they have to spawn far away, so there's gonna be a higher chance of it being creepers.
I need you to know. Plush just DM'd me head, shoulders, knees and toes, knees and toes.
I question Plush a lot.
Me too.
I don't know why I made some of these houses as they are. I really shouldn't have. I did not account for a lot of these houses properly. So I went to make the roofs, and I realized, wait, the roofs need an outer trim, and I did not account for that at all in any of my placements. So a lot of the trims are really wonky for all of the roofs. And so that's why a lot of buildings touch each other when they really shouldn't be. But it makes it feel more crowded, so maybe it was a better call just to let that happen. It does make this place feel a lot more crowded when there is literally nothing down here. It's literally only buildings. I have 0 decor in any of this. And nothing can get out of that building, so that's fine.
You know, I sometimes forget how tiny my head is.
These creepers are gonna jump scare me a lot.
One.
There we go. I know my back's gonna be so sore tomorrow. I've been sitting like this without moving for a while. My finger hurts. Oh dear.
What'd you do?
Ow. It hurts to raise my arms, my hands higher than my shoulders. Oh dear. Ow. Even just doing that hurt. Okay, that's lovely. I love that. Oof. Jeez.
So, you want to know how I know I have a small head?
Yeah?
Because I've made this pattern before, and I've had to make, and I quote, the children-sized hat.
Yeah, me and my mom have the same problem. We both have to get, like, kid-sized helmets. I'm still using the one my brother used when he was a kid, which is just this really old flame helmet.
Your head is still bigger than mine, and we know this.
How's Bad Omen 1? You want a Bad Omen 1?
Sure. I'm on top of the three-pronged tower building.
What? Are you talking about the
It has
smokestacks?
Smokestacks?
The smokestacks.
Yes.
They're supposed to eventually have glass one day, but I just never did it.
Yeah.
Oh, you got on top of. Yeah. I've purposely done this. The same thing is on the back of the B&B, and it's a great secret hiding spot. There you go.
Oh, thanks.
Okay, these houses still need light. Aziz! Light! I know I've shown you that reference, have I? I'm positive I've shown you that.
What?
Fifth Element.
Yeah, you showed me Fifth Element. You've also shown me
Aziz!
Valerian.
Light! Oh, there's actually there's a cute cozy corner back here you'd like, actually. There's a bunch of buildings I hid in the very back corner here. Why was he a one-shot with a pickaxe? Okay. Also, we're gonna ignore any holes in any buildings. I did not have the time to care about that.
I heard cozy corner.
Yeah, these houses. These guys are, like, so stowed away back here. This is the only way to get to these houses. Oh, I'm hitting buttons. I guess there's also, like, these houses over here, but they're real. A lot of these houses are tiny. They're not meant for interiors at all. They're just meant to look like a little tiny house.
Okay, I'm cozy.
Yeah. Oh, wait, there's more houses over here I need to light the interiors of. There's a lot over here that I need to get. Oh, I never showed the bee farm! Okay, hold on. It's probably overflowing at this point. The bee farm's been going the entire time I've been building. So if I come down here, this chest is completely full almost now, and that includes some honey bottles, and these other ones are also almost full. This back one they don't use as much, but the three front ones, yeah. Also, I had a lot of hassle with this bee farm off camera that just didn't get recorded because I was AFKing breeding them. And yeah, Pumpkin knows where this is going, because they got the message spam from me belly aching about it. So, I had a lot of bees, and every night they weren't going in, so I was really curious what the hell is happening. And then I realized I had so many bees. I had double the amount of bees to beehives, and I have 31 beehives. I know, because there's 28 down there, and then there's 3 up above. I think you never got. Okay. Whatever. Jeez. Oh, you got it upstairs. Okay. I have I'm just gonna look over at my phone and I see so many notifications. That hurts my soul. Like, I don't even like an alert pop-up of like, oh, tracking your location. Oh, this message, this audio's playing. I don't even like that notification. I want my notifications completely clear. I do not care. I want them all gone.
Good.
Oh yeah, the bees. My issues with the bees. So I took a screenshot holding a flower with all the bees around me, and I clicked back on the game in order to, like, you know, log off for the night. Except in clicking back on the game, I accidentally hit a bee. And so every single one of the bees went after me. And I was trying to figure out how to handle this without losing a lot of bees, because I thought I didn't have enough still, somehow. And I'm like, okay, maybe it's like a neutral mob, they will stop following. Story of my life. Maybe it's like a neutral mob, they'll stop being angry after a little bit, let me log off and log back on. Maybe they're a neutral mob, they'll turn passive again, right? No.
No.
And so I'm like, okay, this is a tomorrow me problem. Maybe they need more time to cool down. No. I woke up the next morning, logged on, and they were all after me still. So I just had to kind of sit there chugging golden apples until they stopped trying to sting me. That was great. Oh dear. Pumpkin, I only have 3 stacks of rockets. This is horrible.
Oh.
I need to go sit at the gunpowder farm, apparently. Oh, wait, hold on. You know what? While I wrap up stream, we're using the horrible train system, so I can show just how horrible this is. Because I have to only go 2 stops, right? And that shouldn't take a while, right?
Hey,
You want to join me in the train system? I need... Yeah, I have 2 minecarts. It literally needs 2 minecarts to efficiently work. Come to the train station. Yeah. So get in the front minecart.
Oh, I'm in the front. Oh, okay.
Yep. Yep. Yeah. Hold on. There we go. And then you'll keep going, and now I gotta wait for the furnace. This is the only way to do this without the furnace unloading from your chunks. Because you'll keep going, and that's what will happen if you only have 1 minecart. And so the furnace will unload, and it won't follow you. And so eventually I'm gonna come over, hit you, and then I'll stop, and then the furnace can catch up. But you'll keep going. Although, granted, I do have a bit of a slope, so maybe not. Oh, it's slowly following. I see it. It might have stopped,
Slowly.
though. Yeah, the slants don't help with this. Is it following? I can't tell. I'm gonna look. Is it following?
It doesn't
Yes,
seem
it's
like
very slowly following. Very, very slowly. Okay, let me sit at my minecart. How you doing good over there? I mean, you're almost at the end.
That part.
We're gonna wait here for the furnace. This works a lot better when you don't actually have another person in the minecart, but you should probably actually do 3 minecarts for 2 people.
Yeah, don't mind me. I'm casually.
Is the furnace come? Did the furnace get stopped? Oh, I fully unloaded the chunks. It was exactly where I left it. Yeah. So you need 3 minecarts for 2 people. You need 1 extra minecart per person, to the amount of people you have. Good thing I have stocked literally every station, because I have a ridiculous surplus of iron. Yeah, this is why, even though I have finished building it, I don't use the train system, I use the nether portals. And then I bounce back, and then the furnace minecart slowly catches up. They need to make it this faster. There's a reason minecarts aren't used anymore, except for redstone.
Yeah.
And we have one more stop to go, so I'm stealing a minecart from here. So we can actually efficiently do this. We have one more stop, though. So get in this second one. Oh. There we go. So now we play ping pong with the minecarts. And this is how we work. This is how it has to work. And you will stop right there, and then I'll ping pong off of you. And then you follow that one, and you ping pong back. This is how you have to travel. This is the only way you can travel if you want to use furnace minecarts. Because otherwise it will just unload the minecart.
Yeah, nice. I mean, at least I'm filling out sections on my map.
Sussy. No! What do you mean, no? I was trying to get the Among Us. Oh, the furnace actually caught up. That's crazy.
Wow.
So maybe you have to have at least 3. Because this was it was about the same, but this is a lot easier on 3. Oh yeah, the Among Us emote. The Among Us. Yeah.
Among Us.
That's what it's called.
I know.
Oh yeah, I did finish the iceberg one day.
Oh, nice.
So the iceberg surrounding the creeper farm actually is done. It's not a good iceberg, but it exists. I finished it.
I'm gonna continue watching Sneak's playthrough of Cult of the Lamb.
Oh, you're so real for that, actually. Can I have one of those minecarts back, at least? You can keep the other one. I just want one back.
Sorry, I was
Okay.
finishing off a round of crochet, so no. Don't mind that. That is for my own sanity.
Fair enough. You want to see the creeper farm? I think it's been a minute since you've been to it. I'm not even bothering with the minecarts again. Fuck that. Also, I did add string to literally all of the train tracks, all the way to the end portal, which is another 1,000 blocks away, keep in mind.
Oh, that's really tall.
Yeah, that's the AFK point for creepers, because that's how they best spawn.
Bitch!
I never said it was spawn-proof, I just said it was a creeper farm. Oh, you know, funny thing about you watching through Sneak's Cold... Oh, I'm lagging bad. You watching Sneak's Cold Lamb. I have Cold Lamb soundtrack playing. Anyway. Oh, head? Which head?
Spitter.
Oh yeah, the spiders are pretty common. Down here. That's the sugarcane. Up down here is the actual creepers. And then the gunpowder goes down in here, and I already collected paper recently. But it has regrown since. Also, if you want free rockets, there's some down there, because I refuse to use... I refuse to use less than Flight 3. So I'm gonna go AFK at the top. Did I leave a bed up there?
Best thing since coarse dirt.
You and that coarse dirt.
Hey, don't blame me. Blame my friend.
Ooh. Just want to get up. Bonk. Nope. Now what that'll do.
Ooh.
I love... Okay, so with Distant Horizons, I can see like a whole bunch of this space. I genuinely love seeing the random bits and pieces of builds everywhere. Look at my stream. I adore this. That's an insane view. I love that so much.
I'm so glad I, like, censored myself for the rest of that. I'm going to die. I'm going to die. No, I'm not. I got this.
Let me turn it tonight. Whoa. Ow. Alright, let me show... Because I was talking about it earlier, and the server won't let me show it appropriately.
Oh? Did you just
Yeah,
leave
I leave. I left. Let me first, before I even log on to the actual thing, this one has the build. I heart TMI. So I think this doesn't have most of the buildings, but it has some of them. So there is one more set of buildings that got built here eventually. But this is what the SMP looked like before I logged on today, except for 4 more buildings that are not on this copy of the world. This is the entirety of what was here. Now, if we log on to the July copy of the world, it looks a little bit like this. And there's a specific reason for all this. If I stand down here, look at that horizon line. Literally, the reason all of those buildings are placed, it's exactly so I can have this. And it doesn't matter where you look. You get this horizon line. It doesn't matter where you look from. You always get it. It's fantastic. Also, those buildings are 1.5 scale. And that's why the last buildings we did were so huge. It's purely because they were 1.5 scale to everything else. So these I did in like, you can see how tiny these guys are, and then those guys are huge. But when you come back over here, they all fit in. They all seem like the same scale. I love forced perspective, if you can't tell. It's great. I adore this. I adore all of this. Next is North Snowkea. Let me read my notes. Hold on. 44? Right? North Berry Buster. That's what I wanted to call it. The Berry Fox Claw Machine. Parkour, spleef, floors, lava, mini golf, hopefully on the roof. Connect 4, chess, battleship, Elytra course, and checkers. Honestly, I feel like chopping the Elytra course off of that list, because I think I can turn West Snowkea into an Elytra course. There's enough going on there that I can feasibly do that. And then if we look south, which is this section, I want coal mines, maze made out of the sewers, smelters, markets, shark bones, fish shops, mountain farms, warehouses, rails, and a fishing port. I wrote the I upside down in fishing. How? What? Because I have fish, exclamation mark, NG. I don't know how I did that without noticing. I wrote this a month ago. I have this dated to 6/26. Anyway, and then central, which includes this front lawn between this central spot and the community center and the area surrounding the community center. I want foundation, which means foundation for this portion, which, yeah, you can just see right under that. Totem shop, which I just want to make a shop, quote unquote, mostly just like a gallery kind of place, but make it look like a shop for totems. Add some farms, like aesthetic farms. Enchanter, cartographer, meeting rooms, suggestions. Oh, this is interior of the. Those are the interior of the community center. Grass and trees, which is that central area, so I have that done. More warehouses, animal farms, glass workers, so I'm going to move the villagers that are currently inside the community center out to their own buildings. Event boards, side halls, exterior decor, that's all, those 3 are community center. Add another market, more houses, more shark bones. Shark bones refers to, in the interior, in the main hall, I want to add a giant shark skeleton hanging from the ceiling, hanging from the rafters. So I just want a giant shark skeleton in the middle of that, hanging over the meeting table. And then also a librarian place, also for villagers. Runes, I want to add some runes in the floor of the community center. And also community board, which is just another room that I just have to decorate. And that's everything. That's the next 3 episodes. So we're gonna trial run. I want to stream working on the north. And so we'll be doing that for the next 2 weeks. But we're actually going to wrap up streaming today. I'm supposed to go to bed in 15 minutes, over an hour ago. No, that was 30 minutes ago. Or a little over 30 minutes ago, because I said that at 10:15, and it is now 10:50. But yeah. Thank you all for joining me. I'll see you in the next one. But seriously, we're gonna wrap up stream. Thank you all for joining. I'm also gonna make this the end of the video. That's great. Sorry, Dad came home and oh, fair. I guess Pumpkin left. Thank you all for joining me. I'll see you in the next one. Bye bye, guys. I'm gonna go to bed. It's late. I'm gonna go to bed. I'm happy it's done, though. I'm so happy it's done. Alright. Yeah. I can log off. I can sleep tonight, and then I have to edit tomorrow, but I can sleep tonight. I can do that. I'm gonna go sleep.